Mic check 1 2, and welcome back, Professor Almeida, jpalmeida.com. Welcome, folks. This video will be about the network module for COSA 2, critical thinking using computers, and we're just going to get right into it. But before you can do any of these activities, there's some reading you will need to cover, and to do that, you need to get into Mindtap. If you have not purchase the access code packet from the bookstore, now would be a good time to do that, especially if you are taking this class online. Don't procrastinate. Make sure that you give yourself enough time because the readings are that important. So if you have not set up a Cengage Brain account, please do so. You will be prompted to do that when you click on this link here. Go to Mindtap. And we're just going to go ahead and do that right now. We're going to go to Mindtap. And I'm going to launch it right here. So this is what Mindtap looks like. Now, before I go any further, I want to take a moment to tell you something about Mindtap Mobile. If you are on the go and you don't have access to your computer, you can download Mindtap Mobile to your iOS or Android device, and you will have access to all of the readings here. So once you're in Mindtap, take a moment to familiarize yourself with all of the tools available to you. You're going to expand the folder here for Computer Concepts 2018. So here's the reading. You will only need to cover the topics network topology, network nodes, LANs, and network monitoring. So this is what the ebook looks like. I'm going to jump back to chapter contents because I was previewing this earlier. So again, here are the topics you need to cover: network topology, network nodes, and then again, LANs and monitoring. So here's how you can move around in your readings. It's probably a lot easier on mobile. So once you have done the readings, you will need to complete the training simulation. Now, this really is your first major assignment if you are taking me for COSA 2. Up until now, you've had a discussion post or two, and you've also done the Tinkercad project. But again, if you look at the syllabus, you will see how the grades are broken down. Okay, so this is going to be worth quite a bit. So you do not want to skip out on this training. This is what the training simulation looks like. Okay, let me show you here. And the training simulation can be completed on any supported web browser. Now you will see you have different modes. The intro mode is more or less a video. So again, watch these videos, make sure you do the reading, make sure that you develop a fundamental understanding of topologies, devices, because where the critical thinking comes in has everything to do with planning. So for example, I have a computer here in my office. My office mate has a computer and we have a printer over there. If I need to print something, how am I going to get my computer to talk to that printer? Okay, let's say the connection is wireless. How are they going to talk to each other? What if I don't have wireless capabilities? My printer isn't wireless. How are these two devices going to talk? Okay, so you need to think about that. Now at home, you probably have a box from your phone company or cable provider, and depending on what it is, it could be a modem, it could be an access point, a router, it could be all three. By the way, those are terms you need to become familiar with. And if you don't find the reading, you can always Google for it. Okay, so make sure that you have a basic understanding. Read as much as you need to. Okay, so you have a little sticker on the box at home that probably says, this is the name of your wireless network, this is the password. And what do you usually do? Well, you take your laptop, you take your phone, and you enter in the password for that network name. Sounds pretty simple, right? But what if you are running a business out of your home? You're operating a Soho or a small office, home office, and let's say you have a bunch of files that you need to share between computers. How are you going to create that share on the network? How are you going to get those devices to talk to each other? Okay, so you really need to sit down and think about how you are going to plan out your network. So hopefully this simulation will help you out here. Okay, so you have the intro mode, which covers the video. Here is the observe mode. You just basically sit back and watch. And then finally, you apply what you have learned. Okay, so you have 4 tasks. To get full credit, you need to complete all 4 tasks, and then you will need to submit when you are finished. If you have to get up to go to the bathroom, or let's say you have a baby and the baby starts crying, or life happens, or whatever happens, and you need to walk away, you can close out of this simulation and you will be able to come right back when you are ready. The most important thing here is that you submit your training before the deadline. To get the points, you need to submit everything in apply mode. Now, you can also access the training directly from Canvas. And again, once you complete the training, you should see those 100 points automatically sync back into your gradebook. So that is my little speech on Mindtap. Let's now turn our focus to the project. Now, to complete the project and the deliverables that I will be asking for, you need to access a website called NetLab, and I will put the link up right after this video for those who are currently taking me for COSA 2. If you are from the future, you will have that link available to you. And again, if you are from the future, there will also be an announcement showing what your username is. So every one of you will have a username assigned to you. And again, the website for NetLab, for those who are not from the future, it is cos-netlab, that's cos-netlab.lbcc.edu. And you are going to take the username and default password that has been assigned to you. Now, before I go any further and explain what this is all about, I need to take a moment to tell you something about passwords. It is very important that you do not lose or forget your password, because if you do, there's nothing that can be done. You will pretty much be in a world of hurt and you won't be able to complete the assignment. Now, you should reset your password to something you can remember, but do whatever you need to do to remember that password. Also, since you have your own account assigned to you, there is no reason for you to try to access this through someone else's account. So again, everyone should make sure that you all reset your passwords, okay? And don't forget it, otherwise you're pretty much in a world of hurt. Nothing can be done for you. There are a lot of COSA 2 sections. There are many user accounts to handle, and the administrators simply do not have the time to go into individually reset passwords. So please keep that in mind as you are working here. So again, cos-netlab.lbcc.edu. What you will need to do is to schedule a pod reservation for yourself. Okay, and depending on your section, you should see your class listed here. I'm just going to choose the online class. You're going to go with Lab 6 Network Management. Okay, now as you can see, there are a couple of reservations set up. Actually, it's been me all along. I've been playing around with this. So you want to find a pod that isn't being used at the moment. Okay, this pod is not available, so we're just going to choose this one right here. And the closer you get to the red line, the sooner your reservation will start. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this reservation. The max is 2 hours. For sake of example, I'm just going to, let's just choose 10:30. Okay, so I've set up the reservation. Make sure you remember this number right here. And we're going to go ahead and enter the lab. So now the pod's going to spin up, and while it's doing so, I want to take a moment to tell you a couple of things. You are going to work with virtual machines. Think of these as fake computers. So what do I mean by that? Well, let me do a technical event for you here. This computer is running Windows 10, okay? And let's say that you need to run Windows XP for some reason. You have a program that will only work in Windows XP. It's a really old program. Or maybe you need to access something in Windows 7 or Windows 8 for whatever reason. Maybe you have a program that was meant for Linux and you need to install Linux. Well, you have software that will create a fake machine that is basically software based. The operating system, which is Windows or Linux, it will happily install itself into that machine. And so with one piece of hardware with enough storage and memory, you can have different operating systems run at the same time. Okay, so as you will see here, now that it is done, we have a couple of Windows 2008 servers, and we have Linux servers on the back end here. So this is a topology of our setup here. Okay, so again, this is something that you need to critically think about when you are designing your own network. Okay, so I'm going to take you on a tour through NetLab. Hopefully this will be enough to help you get started. So we're going to begin with content here. And this is the handout you will need to follow. Now, I also made this available to you directly in Canvas. If you are offline and away from NetLab, you will still be able to access it. One other crucial aspect as you are going through this activity, I can't stress this enough, is the importance of documentation. This is a critical IT skill, whether you are designing a network or you are trying to troubleshoot an issue, okay? Or maybe you are learning Linux for the first time and you need to look at documentation. Documentation is very important, otherwise you won't know what to do, okay? So when I first started using Linux, I started out with Ubuntu. I took my wife's laptop that was running Windows ME and I installed Ubuntu on it, and I had no idea how to get the wireless card working. Okay, I had to use this thing called NDIS wrapper for those Linux nerds who are watching this. So I had to learn how to use NDIS wrapper, so I had to do a lot of searches in the forum, and I had to read old posts on, oh, my wireless card doesn't work, it's this model, okay, here's how you do it with NDIS wrapper. Oh, great, I got it working, thanks. Well, that documentation is going to be available, right? Because the person took the time out to say, hey, I'm having this issue. Other people stepped in and said, hey, here's the solution to your issue, okay? What if you didn't have that documentation, right? You're designing a network, and let's say you documented along the way, or maybe you didn't document along the way. You get hit by a bus on the way to your organization. Now someone has to come after you and try to figure out what you did, okay? Or maybe you're troubleshooting an issue. Your working help desk user calls up, says they have malware on their computer, and it's a certain type of malware. This is something you've seen before, so you are able to pull up past tickets and see what was done, and then you can help that user out. Okay, this is why documentation is important, and this is something you should be doing along the way, because if something doesn't work, you also want to take notes on that too, or step back to figure out what was going on. Okay, what was the last thing you did? Okay, so this is why documentation is important. So you're going to go through this handout, and you are going to document according to the network deliverables handout I have here. So you need to make sure that you take a look at the deliverables. You are going to take 5 screenshots, okay? And this is what I'm looking for here. This assignment is worth 100 points. Each screenshot is 20 points, and it's all or nothing, okay? You either have the correct screenshot or you don't. Okay, so this is where the critical thinking and the documentation comes in, because your organization is only as strong as your documentation. Okay, so this is your first, or second in this case, real project here. Okay, so you're going to go through, and what I recommend doing is just opening up Word, create a blank document. You're going to put your name. Okay, don't just type your name, but your name. Haha, get it? Right? So you're going to put your name, and you will use the snipping tool in Windows. And if you don't know where to find it, you can just do a Cortana search here. I also would recommend pinning this to your taskbar so you always have it available to you. Okay, I will show you how to take the screenshots in a moment here. So I'm going to switch back, and let's see what we have here. So here's Windows 2008, and probably the easiest way to work with this is to undock this so it shows up in its own browser window. And I'm going to send Control-Alt-Delete. Okay, so again, this is in your handout. Okay, let's say I want to take a screenshot of this for whatever reason. Okay, I'm just gonna show you how screenshotting works with the snipping tool. So I'm going to launch the snipping tool, and there's two ways you can go about this. If you undocked this window, you can just take a window snip, click directly on the window, and then you can copy and paste your screenshot directly into Microsoft Word. Okay, that's one way to do it. Now, you can also use what's called a rectangular snip. So I'm going to get rid of this here. Okay, no, I don't want to save it. So let's say I'm working on my virtual machine and I do need to take a screenshot. So I can also do what's called a rectangular snip. And this gives me a little bit more control. I can just do this and take the screenshot that way. Okay, and again, I can just copy this and paste it directly into Word. So there's two ways to do it. Now, I want to emphasize this. I need to be able to see what you are doing. Okay, so if you need to, make the screenshot bigger, okay, so I can see exactly what you're doing. So maybe the rectangular snip is the way to go for some things. Okay, if I can't see what you're doing, I can't grade it. Okay, and remember, we are working all or nothing here on each screenshot. So documentation is crucial. I want to be able to see what you are doing and that you have gone through the steps. Okay, so this activity is pretty straightforward. You just basically follow through the steps and do what they are asking for. Okay, so I'm going to close this window up real quick. So again, here's Windows 2008. These are what are called graphical user interfaces. This is what you commonly use on a desktop computer with a keyboard and mouse. You have a pointer. You have things to click on, right? So this is what's in front of you, right? It's called a GUI, or a graphical user interface. Now on the back end, you have what's called a command line interface. Okay, so here's Linux. Okay, here's another Windows 2008 instance, and here's the Linux firewall on the back end. Now the password, I'm just guessing here from my previous experience with NetLab. It's usually NetLab123. Again, please consult the documentation for the correct password. Okay, so once you are done with the reservation, you can simply end it, or you can let the time run out. Okay, so that's what you will be doing with NetLab. So anyway, I hope this video helps you out here, and if it does, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. I do want to boost my subscriber numbers up so that I can do cool things like have a custom URL so that I can send you straight to my YouTube channel and not just give you a long random link. I need 100 subscribers to do that. So anything helps. Anyway, I hope this video helps. Good luck on this module. If we're meeting face-to-face, I'll see you in class. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them either in Canvas or send me an email. Thanks for watching.